Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to cover a very common configuration related to exchange rates. So typically you can choose to use a default dynamics exchange rate providers, but in a case many clients require to have a OANDA type of daily spot rate through API integration. So in this episode, I'm going to show you end-to-end why we're using OANDA and what's the process step by step to get OANDA available and up and running in Dynamics FNO. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, what is OANDA? So you certainly heard about it. So OANDA is a trusted provider of accurate foreign exchange rate and services, and it connects with Dynamics FNO through an API that allows for automatic import of exchange rates. So typically you have multiple ways to handle that, right? Let me show you real quick. Within the system, I'm going to navigate to General Ledger, and we're going to have a section for currency management. So typically you see this option, configure exchange rate providers. So in this rate, you have the possibility to add a provider. You can use a Central Bank of Russia or a Central Bank of Europe, and the other one is the Republic of Turkey. Now, those three are kind of standard provider from Dynamics without any extra charges. So you can directly select those and import the rates and start using the exchange rates provided by those providers. However, for US company type of clients, they typically don't want to use a Central Bank of Europe type of rates because otherwise they have to justify to the auditor why you're using the Central Bank of Europe to provide exchange rates. You should use something specific US related. So in that case, OANDA is more trusted provider for accurate foreign currency exchange rates, right? So that's why we have this option OANDA. However, the OANDA option will come with the fees because it requires to subscribe to OANDA services from their own website. So it's kind of a third-party add-on, but it's seamlessly connected to Dynamics. And also the platform or the connection is through API, meaning that the data is going to be transferred automatically. You don't need to manually create rates or import rates from another bank, right? So that kind of covers why we need to use OANDA as the exchange rate providers. So just a quick summary before we get to the detailed step-by-step configurations. So if your customer is US based and wanting to have a trusted provider of exchange rates and also don't mind paying a monthly or yearly subscription and don't want to handle all the exchange rates import, especially with a larger international exposure, then in that case, OANDA should be the way to go. And now how we're going to connect OANDA to Dynamics and get the actual rates. So a few steps here. Number one, as a functional consultant, typically you will be reaching out to OANDA team and get a quote and then share with your client to make sure they're okay with the subscription fees and they agree to purchase a contract with OANDA. So the contract is between OANDA and your customer, but you will be providing all the detailed informations in terms of functionalities and also the code, what covers, what does not cover, right? And then once that subscription or contract has been signed between OANDA and your customer, there should be an API key provided by OANDA team. So that's the key information you need to gather as a functional consultant. That's the key piece you need to configure the system, right? So let's say step one, create a contract. Step two, get the API key. And then the third step is going to get into the system and start configuring. So exactly at the same place. So let me go back and show you again. So basically going back to General Ledger module and then find the section for currencies. And now we need to choose this currency exchange rate providers. Okay, and then I have already this configured. All you need to do is to click new, and then you see there are actually two options. One is for OANDA central banks, and the other one should be the OANDA rates. So what's the difference? If the customer requires the market rates to be pulled in the Dynamics environment, in that case, you need to select OANDA rates. That's kind of the market spot rates. But if the customer requires the official central bank rates, then in that case, you need to select this OANDA central banks. So it gives you a list of like Albania Central Bank or American Central Bank, this type of banking information then that rates will be connected to the bank and pulled from the bank website directly. So that's kind of the difference. One is from market rates, one is from central banks that you select. So in my case, I'm going to use this one, the rates, market spots. So once you click on that and do OK, that's what you see on this screen. So you're going to have this on the rates available. So in my scenario, I'm going to remove this Russia one. I don't need that. All right, so on the rates, typically what you see on the right-hand side is this decimal places, code type, service timeout, but the API key is going to be blank. So that means you will need to copy and paste the previous API key provided by OANDA team, put it here. That way you finalize your configuration of the exchange rate providers. Okay, so this is the third step. Fourth step, what we need to do now is to import the rates from OANDA to Dynamics. Even though we're having an API, we still need to pull the trigger and make the connection happen, right? So that's basically what this step serves, right? So again, I will go back to my general ledger module, move to the right. Again, enter the currency section. Here I'm going to select this import currency exchange rates. Just a side note, in case you're not using OANDA, you're using the Central Bank of Europe, you can still go through the step to import the currency exchange rates. It's just the rates will get pulled from Central Bank of Europe, right? Okay, so first of all, we'll need to select exchange rate type. So in my case, when I open the dropdown, I'm going to import my daily spot rate. So every day from OANDA, they will have a refreshed exchange rate for all currency pairs, and I want to have that market spot rate. So in that case, I'll just choose this default global rate. And the next step, I'll need to select the exchange rate provider. So this is what we configured previously, right? So let me pick this one, the market rates. And then import as of. You can use today's date, so that means the rates will be imported for today. You'll see that as 515 with a specific rate for all pairs. Or you can also select the date range. So let's say considering my activities, I will need some historical rates, even though today is 515, I still need to go back further to the month of March, for example. So in that case, you can certainly change this date. So I'm going to put 4/1/2025, and then the end date will be today's date by default. You will not be going further after today's date, right? So that's kind of the data range you need to select first. Just one thing as a side note, I think it allows only for 90 days. In the past, you cannot put a rate as of January the 1st. So this is kind of a good to know. Anyway, you will have a warning message in case you exceed those 90 days period. Okay, and then moving down, you have this create necessary currency pairs. You can choose a specific pairs to create or just keep everything. So I leave it to no, so I can have all the currency pairs. And then if you have already some existing exchange rates, and you can pick this to override the existing rates. And then the single rate for date range. This is more used for one single rate for the month. I'm going to show you as a second scenario when I want to import a monthly average rate, right? So for now, I want the market daily spot rate, so I don't change anything. You can also prevent the import on a national holiday. So for now, I don't do anything, just keep all the options to no. And then you see this run in background. So this is kind of the batch job you can set up for recurrence, meaning that there is a daily batch job run to connect with OANDA to get the daily spot rate. And you can enable this batch processing once you're finalizing the configuration, right? For now, I just want to manually import once, so I don't do anything. Let's do OK. Okay, so now it's processing, and you will get a notification to say, okay, now operation completed. Let's go check it out. So I'll open up General Ledger, move to the right, and once the currencies are imported, you can see from this currency exchange rates. Okay, now when I change to default as exchange rate type, you can see clearly we have all the pairings from currency to currency. And then when I click on something, Euro to Canadian, for example, you can see clearly we have the start date from 4/15, Actually, I started for 1. So let's check. We should have a rate available at 4.1. So let me scroll up. You see clearly those rates have been imported till today's date. Okay. And now, same thing, if we need to import the exchange rate, but only for monthly average rate, so just one single rate for the month, what do you need to do? Exactly the same thing, but when you do the import rate, let me actually show you, you need to select the option use a single rate. That means now you need to get back to general ledger and move to the right, and we can choose this import currency exchange rate again. And we get back to this import currency exchange rate. So here, instead of choose default, you're going to do average because this average type is going to capture all my monthly average rates. And the same thing, you can do a date range or a specific date. And in this case, you need to pick the single rate for date range. So it's going to pick the first day of the month, but the actual rate is going to be the monthly rate, right? So same thing, you can enable the batch processing if you need. That way, every day you are going to have a new rate. In this case, for the monthly one, you just have one per month, right? And then do OK. And it's going to give you another notification to say it's ready. And then you can get back to the same place to check the monthly average rate. And just as a final note, this single API key can actually be connected to multiple environments, supporting both testing environment and gold configuration and final production. So that's almost everything I want to cover today. As a quick summary, you first need to finalize the contract with OANDA to get the API key and then get to the system to first configure the exchange rate provider and then import exchange rates with the batch job enabled on daily basis for the daily spot rate, right? So it's straightforward. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to comment, let me know your thoughts or any other topics you want to see. Thank you again and see you in the next episode.